started training, and I was home, and I was feeling 100% by about noon. So that was good. But yes, very boring Super Bowl, but I was pulling caps because I can't pull for an LA team when I'm a NorCal girl and a Niners fan. So that's just how it goes. But overall, yeah, we're kind of 50-50 with the Caps, the two games this last week. So I thought, they were hot one game and really not in the second. So I'm sure we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah, we definitely going to break it down. Me and Robbie talked very in-depth after that second game against the Bruins on Super Bowl Sunday. But let's go ahead and get into the first game of the recap when they was coming off of the All-Star break on a 7-game non-winning streak. They were 0-5-2, and they came out against Calgary, who I recall you and Robbie were a little concerned about Ovi not playing, and, Calgary, being a team that's on the rise. I believe they had got a point in 9 straight games when they came into Capital One. But I'll go ahead and let you get that recap, and we can break that game down.
Yeah, sounds good. So like you just said, it was after their week off, the Caps hosted the Calgary Flames on Friday night. So the first period has Nick Dowd scoring his 5th at 3 minutes into the first, assisted by Carlson, in which that was his 40th. It's amazing. And Kempney's 12th. About 15 minutes later, the Flames score, but then Yaskin closed out the first with his second goal, assisted by Eller and Orpik. Tommy Wilson scores his 14th, and 54 seconds into the second, with assist by Vrana and Kuzi. And the Flames come back to score 2 minutes later, making it 3-2 Caps going into the third. But then the Flames tied up at 12:01. But then at 19:03, Kuzi scores his 10th on a power play goal, assisted by Oshie and Backstrom. And then, as the game ends and everyone's excited, then we got to see a little Orpik throw down there and a Tommy throw down. That was cool. I don't know. The whole game, in my opinion, was great. I think they looked probably the best they've looked in the last couple of weeks. But the little fights at the end, just always a little cherry on top for me.
Yeah, no doubt. That was a very entertaining game. Robbie, do you want to break it down first, or you want me to break it down, and I'll let you break it down after? Because I got a lot to say about this game, because it was, like I mentioned the week before, it was about other players stepping up, and we saw that in this game, and that's Capitals hockey, and that's what this team is going to have to do to get back on the right track if they want to repeat, because we know what Ovi's going to bring to the table no matter what when he's on the ice. So it's not about Ovi, it's about the surrounding pieces, the secondary scoring, and everyone playing their role and doing their job, and this game to me was a classic example.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, Nick Dowd, with that first goal, there was a little bit of a question on who actually tipped it in at first. It was funny because when I got the scoring update, they didn't even know who had scored. Like, Capital scored! And I was like, all right. And a couple minutes later, they finally announced it, because I think it took a lot of video reviews to see that it was Nick Dowd who, in fact, tipped it in. And then Yaskin had his second goal. A lot of people have been calling for him to play more. So he proves his worth to make it 2-1. And then, of course, we've got Anna's favorite, Tom Wilson, and your favorite, Carol. So 14th goal already of the season, which is incredible. And Vrana got his 14th as well. It's funny because Tom Wilson's 13th was also Vrana's 13th assist. And Kuzi got his 33rd assist. I mean, I know Kuzi hasn't been, maybe quite the level he was last postseason and some of what we saw the last couple of years. But, I mean, he's quietly still, top 4 on our team in points and still doing pretty well. And there was so many near misses for him throughout the game. But I was so happy to see at the very end of the game, where the power play had fizzled so many times before, Kuzi was able to come through in the clutch in the final minute and score a power play goal. It's his 10th goal of the season to go on with his 33 assists at this point. And then TJ Oshie got his 14th assist, and Nicholas Backstrom's 39th assist. So again, 19:03 with the time running out. But Calgary just gave Washington one too many power plays. But Calgary Flames, as we talked about going into this game, the best team in the Western Conference, one of the top point teams in all of NHL. I'm thankful that both teams had the same amount of time off, because you've been watching around the league. Some games, teams have their first game back and they're playing against a team who's played a couple of games. So I'm happy that both teams were kind of on even footing in that way. But the Capitals were able to take advantage of it and really show up and show out and get 4 goals without having their captain in the lineup.
Yeah, this game was definitely exciting to watch as a Capitals fan after you saw the way they went into the break and how they were just totally discombobulated. They were going in, they would have leads, 2-3 goal leads sometime and find a way to lose it, or going to have to go get put in the overtime and have to win it, in overtime. So to me, this game was with the Yaskin goal, him, in the front of the net, the Dow goal, shooting through the gap, with a hell of a deflection. Like you said, it took him a couple of minutes to even realize what he had did. I had to look at it a couple of times myself. And then Wilson, that goal was just pure forecheck and want when he forced a turnover and went to the middle of the ice, giving go, boom, shot, score. And then the piece de resistance at the end after they, got the win, the whole almost line brawl with Orpik going against Tkachuk, who has been chirping and trying to start stuff all game. And he didn't want that work from Wilson, so he decided to go after the old man, and the old man gave him some work. And then you saw Wilson with the takedown, and then with a couple of blows when he had dude on the ground. So I totally enjoyed this game. That's the way this team is going to have to play. They were aggressive on defense. They were aggressive on the forecheck. They were forcing turnovers, and they didn't allow Calgary to use their speed and get up and down the ice. They were defensively sound. They did everything that needed to be done, and they had solid goaltending for the most part. So that's Capitals hockey. So I like what I saw in that game, and I think that they're going to be able to build off of that.
I hope so, because I think coming off of the break, I was hesitant, thinking not totally sure if they'd be recharged or whatnot. I was pulling for him. We knew Calgary was going to be tough, Johnny Hockey and his skills and whatever else. But this was the lineup, and even with Ovechkin not there, which is a great sign that they can do it without him. They looked sharp, and it was an impressive game. And so and I'm glad that Wilson did restrain at the end. He didn't take it too far, but he definitely got that one throw down that was like, all right. Hey. I think everyone was cheering for that because the player's a punk, but that's a whole other thing.
It happened.
I couldn't believe he went after our goalie. I mean, that was crazy.
Exactly.
And I'm just happy that the league didn't be like, oh, he came in too late or find some bullshit. Like,
oh,
I'm
no.
trying to figure out what the call would be on, is it a penalty or what happens if you start fighting with people after? Because there's, no repercussion that the refs can do in that moment because the game is over.
Oh, you remember? You remember, what, was it 3 years ago when the Caps beat the Flyers 7-0? No, it was 4 years ago. And they had the whole line brawl where Ray Emery came, not Ray Emery. Yeah, Ray Emery. Emery, not Ray. Emery. What's my man's name? I can't believe he used to be the goalie for the Ottawa Senators. I can't remember his name. But he came down and it was Ray Emery? Okay, I don't know why that didn't sound right. But when he came down and he beat the mess out of Braden Holtby, they got fined because it was after the game. But what folks didn't realize what started it was Nick Backstrom put a hell of a check on Johnny Gaudreau that knocked him on his ass. And that's what, right at the end of the game, Gaudreau was trying to make a pass or whatever, and Nick Backstrom, folks underestimate how strong Nicky is, but he threw his shoulder and it knocked Gaudreau on his ass. He lost his stick and everything, and that's what started the whole ruckus at the end of the game. And like I said, I loved it. I enjoyed it. That was a real Capitals hockey right there.
Yeah, but I have heard of times, and in fact, Ray Emery, I think, was a situation where I think there was supplemental discipline, if it gets too far. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
There is a limit.
Well, I think because the ref...
I honestly don't know what that limit is. I was happy to see that we didn't go past it, and they just said, hey, they let it, happen on the ice.
Yeah, it was just 2 punches.
The next game.
It was just 2 punches, so it wasn't that bad. And the refs got there kind of quick, so it was only 2 punches, and he ain't really lay into him like he could have. He could have really, laid into him, but it was a heated game throughout. They had a couple of scrums throughout, so I'm glad the league, understood that and didn't have a microscope on Tommy. Because he's been playing some good hockey. That's one thing that hasn't been talked about. He's been playing clean. He hasn't had any dumb, even though he is still leading the penalty minutes. He hasn't had any dumb penalties or, them close calls that make them look at him. So he's playing the way he has. And like you said, he had his 14th goal already. So the man's playing some good hockey. He's earning his contract, and he's doing what needs to be done to help this team win.
Anna, what did you think about that fight?
Well, I loved it. I think he did exactly what we expected was, you mess with the goalie, and you've got, Tommy coming out, and he's not going to take it. But again, there's a side of maturity with Wilson these days, which I think we can all appreciate. Because I think if this had happened 2 years ago, pretty sure there would have been a fine or a suspension or something, because he would have taken it too far. He is now aware that he's a target, that people want to push his buttons and kind of get him fired up. But I thought what he did, it was great. Throw the guy down and get your punches in, and then skate away. And that, to me, that's hockey fights at their best. You don't need to beat anybody to a pulp, but it's Wilson's not going to let anybody mess with the goalie. And I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but there was that look, kind of a smile, a smirk, or something of Holtby watching them. And I thought, yeah, that's when you know that your team mates, they've got your back. And if he keeps playing, Holtby keeps playing as well as he has, these from All-Star and Calgary, and even against Boston, he was good. That's a good thing, and that's what I thought that they've always needed to get back to is get that chemistry going. So I'm all for a Wilson fight, and I thought this one was a good one.
Definitely. I also have the LA Kings versus the Rangers on NHL Network. That's 0-0. The Rangers had a couple of nice 2-on-1 opportunities, but they weren't able to score. But this game is 14 minutes and 13 seconds left in the first. Rangers in LA, I gotta have some hockey on. I gotta have, no Caps hockey. I still gotta watch some hockey. But let's get into the Super Bowl Sunday matchup that I know everyone is up in arms about. And breakdown is not much scoring, so I don't have too much to score and breakdown for it.
Yeah, I think this will probably be the fastest recap I've ever done. Just said that Super Bowl Sunday, we had the Caps playing the Bruins, a very uneventful game that had the Bruins scoring the only goal for a win during the second period. And I think many of us walked away frustrated with this game. Had a lot of, what the hell moments for all 60 minutes. I feel like my biggest complaints were, the hooking, the slashing, these fancy passes that just are not being executed well, and me just screaming at the TV, just shoot the freaking puck, just shoot it. Why is this so ridiculous? And of course, with it being Boston, it's frustrating because you've got, so many players on their team that just get everyone riled up. It's nice to see that Marchand got denied numerous times by Holtby. And on the plus, I will say two players that I enjoyed watching in the game were TJ Oshie and then Braden Holtby. The rest of them, I'm not quite sure who those guys were, but it was a very frustrating game.
I see it differently. Robbie, you want to give your, I know you kind of had a similar sentiment, so I'll let you give your breakdown and I'll give my breakdown from the other point of view.
Okay, yeah, mine is similar. I hate boring games, and I hate the fact that Tuukka Rask finally beat us. I think it's either his first or second time beating the Capitals ever, and now he's the all-time leading in wins in Boston history, which is amazing for a original six franchise. right after the one goal. I was out at brunch, and I did DVR it, but I decided I'd only go back if there were Capitals goals, and there weren't. And it was disappointing because I got to sit in the man cave and not hear the goal horn go off once on Super Bowl Sunday, which is always disappointing. And I always just like being shut out. But, I mean, it was a good game by Boston, a lot of good forecheck, but I just felt that the effort for the Capitals in the last 12 minutes, if we saw it earlier in the game, may have gotten a little bit of a different result. So that's what I thought. What did you think, Carol?
Well, I see it a little bit differently. Boston after the last game that they lost, that put them at 14 when the Caps came back and beat them. You saw the intensity in that game, and just the Caps just were in the zone and they had it covered. This game, Boston came out with the aggressive, like you mentioned, the aggressive forecheck. They weren't giving them time and space, and they weren't doing as many of those wraparound passes and fancy passes, but when they did, it was at the wrong time. And that damn Orlov, I'm hoping they packaging him and Andre in a deal to get both of them out of here, because I was closely watching both of them in that game. Andre was skating fast, but he was turning the puck over. That's what I don't understand about this dude. He's been in the league long enough. Why isn't this dude putting on any weight? Because whenever he tries to, make a rush and go into the corner, he always turns the puck over. He wants to make something happen, but he's not able to because the defense either, angles him or uses their leverage against him, and then he does nothing but turn it over, or he just, gets off a shot that sometimes that doesn't even hit the net. And then Orlov, he turned the puck over in so many crucial situations. I was ready to he should have been on the bench. I know they put Kuzi on the bench when he had the minor sticking penalty and one of the other players. I don't know how Orlov gets away with some of the stuff that he does, because I don't know if he think he's Mike Green, but he's not. He's not as offensive talented as he think he is, but some of the plays that he does is not what a defenseman needs to do. And he's overreaching and doing things that's putting his team in bad positions. And when most of the odd man rushes are when he's on the ice. And I don't know why they haven't, set his ass down. I know he was the one that whined about not getting playing time and wanting to be traded a few years back. So I don't know if it's his ego or psyche is so fragile they don't want to, mess with it. But honestly, I think he is some of the core of the problem on the defense because he takes too many chances at the wrong time. And I thought this game was played, not the best way, but I felt like it was a lot of instances where Boston was just being aggressive on defense, and when the Caps had opportunities and normally would get that goal, the Bruins were just taking away their time and space, and they were getting that stick and getting the deflection instead of it going to the net and going off the rink. So it was just a good game by Boston after 14 in a row. They had to get one. I would love to see it go to 15. I would love to see somebody knock Marchand's head off, but those two things didn't happen, so all we can do is wait for the next time they play, and hopefully somebody gets his number, because I'm waiting somebody to knock him out, and I'm hoping it's Wilson.
That'd be awesome. And I'll say I agree with you with the Burakovsky and the Orlov. Those are two players that I thought, okay, I feel like I've given chances to, and then this game was they just were awful. It was frustrating. The one of the other concerns I had though was Boston came out from the moment the puck dropped. They were aggressive. They were out to break that streak against the Super Bowl Sunday game with the Caps and our awesome record and the whatnot. You get 60 minutes of hockey from Boston, and I think the Capitals walked away with maybe 13 minutes, and that was at the end. And that's where my frustration is we're not sitting out the players that should be out. Like, I didn't think Yaskin needed to be pulled, for a hooking or whatever, or tripping or whatever it was. I think it was hooking. But come on, like Orlov, I'm done, and that's where the shakeup needs to be. And I feel like Reardon knows how to crack down on these guys, but they're just, I don't know what's going on with 9 and 65, but they're kind of They have me very frustrated these days, and those two frustrate me, and then the fact that for some reason the Capitals cannot get 60 minutes of good hockey in, with the passes and, staying out of the penalty box and, all that kind of stuff. So it would just, Boston just looked better than we did, plain and simple.
Yeah, I agree.
Very true.
I think I understand both of your points of view, and it's hard for me to defend Burakovsky and Orbeck, week after week, and they've got some glimmers, where there's some moments where I see the speed or I see the correct play call being called, so I know they've got it within them, but the consistency is probably the biggest problem. That, I think that's what frustrates me the most is that I think Burakovsky could be a good player, and I think, Orlov could be a good player. They're just not consistent, and they just make too many dumb mistakes, and they give up too many, bad plays at the wrong time, and it's going to hurt this team. And so the question is, can they get consistent, or do we have to ship them out? So,
I mean, with Orlov, that's what's frustrating about Orlov, because last season and during the playoff run and the end of the season, he played some great hockey. That's what's frustrating about seeing that he's regressed back into some of the stuff he was doing when he wasn't playing, soundly. So that's what's more frustrating to me, because I was applauding him, last season. He was a key, member of that defense. He was, forcing the puck, forcing turnovers, and he was aggressive in the corner and doing what needed to be done. He wasn't taking the offensive chances that he didn't need to. But now it's like, it's regular season. I'm going to go back to this, and maybe when I go back, if we make the playoffs, I'll go back to playing, defensive sound hockey. And that's the frustrating thing with me. With Andre, I've seen the potential, but like I've said once over again, as being an ex-coach, potential and got many coaches fired. If you're not producing and you're not doing what needs to be done on a consistent basis, you're either going to ride the bench or we're going to get your ass up out of here. He always plays better after they bench him, but you're an NHL player. You should not need for somebody to bench you for you to start playing like you're supposed to. I said it before, I believe a few years ago, he might be a KHL player, because I don't honestly see any team, giving up any big trades or for whatever for him, because for one, his size, he's maybe a second line player at best on a prime team that might be stacked with two other big boys on the line, but he's a third line player. So I think they just got to go ahead and his contract year for him, just go ahead and let him walk, man, because he has 6 goals. 6. Rana has 15, 16. This is second year up here, not even full 2 years. Andre been up here how long? And we keep on getting this same, sputter through the regular season and hope he gets it in the playoffs. I mean, he had the 2-goal game in last year's playoff run with everybody, still talk about that, which is great. I'm glad he did, but one game out of your, 6-year career that you can hang something on, that's not really, good.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard. We'll see what happens as the season goes, because he's a very streaky player also, if you remember.
Yeah.
Most of the seasons where he's played well, he'll go on like a 5-game tear as a point producer, but he'll also have these bad streaks too. I'll give a quick little update on this Atlanta Wizards game, so we're talking Wizards in a few minutes. The Wizards just cannot buy a 3. They just keep on shooting them, but they also just keep on missing them. And Atlanta's making them pay, because they're actually draining the threes, and they're now up 28-16, so up 12 with just under 3 minutes left in the quarter. So we'll be talking more about that in just a few minutes, but I wanted to just give a quick little update. And can we get into the schedule ahead, Carol, or do you guys have any other things to talk about?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Go ahead and get us to the upcoming schedule. I got a score in the Rangers-Kings game. Kreider just scored a goal with 8 minutes and 39 seconds left in this game. They challenged it. They thought it was offsides, but it was close, but they were onside, so the Rangers are up 1-0 over the LA Kings right now. So if Brian's listening, he should be a little happy, I guess.
Right. And if they challenge the offsides is wrong, don't they get a penalty for that now?
I think, because I'm not sure, because I have the sound off and I was just glanced up. I saw the end of it. I didn't see him go to a power play, so it might not have been offsides, but they were challenging something, and the goal was upheld. I didn't get a chance to read what it said. I got the closed caption on, you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah, because I thought if it's goalie interference, kind of wish it was back to where it was one penalty for doing it wrong for both of them. But, we won't get into that too much. The Vancouver game is Tuesday, February 5th. It's at 7 o'clock tomorrow for those listening live. And Thursday, February 7th, we're playing Colorado. So this is, remember, we're in our longest homestand of the season. So we already had 2 games in this homestand. We have 4 remaining. So it's Vancouver tomorrow, Colorado Thursday, Florida on Saturday, and then during the live broadcast next week on Monday, February 11th, we'll have the Los Angeles Kings. So we'll be covering a live game again next week on episode 136. I'll start with Carol. What are your thoughts on the first 2, Vancouver and Colorado?
Both are fast teams. Both are playing well right now. Vancouver, I haven't had a close eye on them. I gotta look at them. I haven't even seen them. I know they're fast. I know they're young. So to me, these last 4 games are all winnable for the Capitals if they play Capitals hockey. Don't take dumb penalties and get their forecheck, play physical, and do what they need to do. But Colorado, that's a whole another beast right there. I know they're playing well. They have 3 good lines, 4 good lines actually that can come in waves and you can get scoring from anywhere. So the Caps are definitely going to have to be on their game, and they're going to need to go get some consistency and start getting hot right now because after the All-Star, it's a close division race, and they want to start getting their position for playoffs so they can even have home ice or they don't. I'm not really concerned because last year they won every series on the road, a clinching game. So I'm not really concerned about it, but you want to try to position yourself well. But I feel that the first 2 games are definitely winnable if they play Capitals hockey.
And what are your thoughts on Vancouver and Colorado?
I don't know. I may say it a little bit differently. I think if the Capitals can go back and watch how they played against Calgary, which has an awesome record, 37 wins, and, fast players, they should be comfortable, actually, the next 4 games because you have Vancouver's 24, 22, and 6, and the Avalanche are 22, 21, and 8. So, we're sitting pretty statistical-wise, looking at it, but it's not I feel like there's going to be 2 good teams that are going to help the Capitals get their confidence back, and they're going to just have to keep with that consistency, and because they are, like Carol said, they are winnable games, but it doesn't mean that we need to drop our guard because we're not being consistent. So I think if Reardon can stick to tagging, his way of coaching in regards to, if you're doing stupid penalties, I'm going to sit you out. Good. Go for it. But also get those young kids in there. Yaskin is one that needs more ice time. He's proven himself. I love the fact that the Caps signed Phoenix Copley for the next 3 years. Another, he's awesome. Ron has got the speed. You've got all these things going. So let's just keep moving forward. So I'm hoping that they play like they did the next 4 games. I hope they play like they did last week when they were against Calgary.
Yeah, it's interesting. Varlamov in his last outing gave up 5 goals to Vancouver, so they played each other recently. And Grubauer in his last outing gave up 5 goals to Minnesota. So both of them former Capitals goaltenders. We'll see one of. It'll be interesting to see which one that we get to see. And it'll also be interesting to see if we see Phoenix Copley, who we had some breaking news today about that he got a contract extension, 3-year, I believe it was $3.3 million, so just over $1 million per year, which is a pretty good deal for a backup goaltender in today's league, and it may sound expensive, but it'll be interesting to see what that means for the goaltenders that are in the pipeline, also for when Holtby re-signs with us, hopefully in a couple of years. It'll be interesting to see what sort of discount he gives us or how expensive he will be. So, but I'm happy to say that our backup goaltender is signed for a couple of years, and game that we're going to be playing before we speak next time is on Saturday, February 9th versus Florida. That's a 7 o'clock game. So that's another Eastern Conference game. Florida has won 4 of their last 5, including wins over Vegas, San Jose, Nashville, and Toronto, 4 very good teams. They lost to Nashville as well, 4-1, so they split the 2 with that. But they're playing some pretty good hockey right now. Carol, what are your thoughts on Florida?
Well, Florida's always a tough matchup for this team because they play similar styles of hockey. I'm looking at their standings now. They're at 50 points in the Atlantic. This is going to be a grounded out game. It's going to be physical. I still feel the Caps can win this game just because if they play Caps hockey, they can win these games with no problem. It's about just being disciplined, moving your feet, and not taking dumb penalties and giving teams 5 and 6 power play opportunities and putting pressure on your PK that's trying to get some momentum going like they did last year. So it's all a working unit. As long as the defense plays well, that'll give the offense opportunities. And then when the offense plays well, that makes the other teams going to be taking penalties and get the power play going. And then it'll all work as one. That's what I'm seeing going down the long stretch for the playoff run.
Yeah, they've got a tandem of goalies that are interesting, and Luongo and James Reimer, and it'll be interesting to see who they play. Both have been playing pretty well as of late, as I was talking about. So we'll see who gets the hot hand in that game. Do you have any thoughts on the Florida matchup, Anna?
No, I mean, I will have to admit that they're kind of one of those teams that I don't have on my radar that often, but I will say when you look at who they have played against recently and who they beat, that's pretty impressive. They're still 21, and I don't know, I wrote some number down, I don't even know what it says.
21, and 8.
Thank you. I'm like, what is that blob on my paper? But yeah, another team that we shouldn't, no one should take for granted their record versus ours and go in. I think these at least 3 of the next 4 games, I think, would be awesome opportunities for Copley to be in the net. But I also understand that Holtby does better when he doesn't have a long time out, and a couple of days or however they worked out. So I don't know if we're going to see Phoenix a lot, but I hope so because I think these are good teams to put him up against. But I would like to see Holtby between the pipes with the Kings.
Right. Here's what I think is going to happen, because there's been a lot of debate over Capitals Facebook groups about this very question. I posted it. We talked about it. Vancouver and Colorado are both just outside the wild card on the Western swing. I think you give Holtby obviously the next start because he only let in 1 goal. It's not his fault that they lost that game. You got to score more than 1 goal to win a game usually. So he gets the next game. Obviously, if he wins, you roll him all the way through the LA game included, because they'll play a back-to-back Monday, Tuesday next week. So I think you get them all the wins in a row, and then you put Phoenix on the back end of that. You could play Phoenix in the LA game, depending on how Holtby does. But I think as long as Holtby keeps winning, you keep riding him until the back-to-back. What do you think about that, Carol?
I agree with that. I mean, you want to give Holtby rest and you want to give Copley some work. So I say, if he's feeling it and having, getting the shutout and he's looking like he's in the zone, I say, let him do the back-to-back and then, let Copley come in the game after, that to get him some work also. But I got a quick comment on the Facebook Live feed from Ron Miller. Appreciate it. He said the Caps pass too much on the power play and try to look for the fancy goal instead of shooting. Very annoying to watch. And I definitely agree with that. You see some overpassing on the power play. And, when they have odd man rushes, they try to get all fancy when sometimes you just need to shoot the puck. There was a few times in that Boston game where they had, an opportunity where they should have shot it, where they passed it and, blew the opportunity because Boston was playing so tight and so tough. So that's definitely a valid point there, Ron. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. you especially shoot for deflections, shoot also for the ability that maybe there's a rebound and get a dirty, gritty goal. And, you saw one of those in the Flames game. I think that's really, I believe that Yashkin's goal was that dirty, gritty goal that I'm talking about. You need more of that, like, old school Knuble type goals. And, I think the more they go to the paint, the more they shoot and then try to get rebounds, sort of a basketball terms, as we're about to get into our NBA talk, but, I think that's very effective in the NHL as well. And goalies can often make the first save, but unless the defenders clear it out quick enough, there's an opportunity to be had there.
Very true, very true. But we definitely going to see what this team does on this homestand, trying to get things back together. They know what needs to be done. They were getting the gritty goals last year. That's what propelled them on that run to get the cup. So they know what needs to be done. They know what they have to do. They just got to go out there and execute and doing it, and just know that every team is going to give them their best because they are the Stanley Cup champions.
For sure. All right, well, I think we're going to switch gears now, but I just wanted to give Anna an opportunity to have a final say. Do you have anything you want to let our listeners know about tonight?
You know what? No, we actually, Power Play podcast took the night off. So you guys are the only podcast for tonight, which is awesome. And we will pick up our recording, I'm assuming, next week, and we're getting closer to our 100th episode, which is really exciting for both Gil and myself. So other than that, no, I'm looking forward to, I will say, I am looking forward to Jay Beagle getting Washington, D.C. cap love tomorrow night. I wish I could be at that game because
is he healthy?
Player is that.
Is he healthy? Last I heard, he was on the injured list.
Oh, Jay Beagle?
Yeah, I think he was on the injured list last time because when they went on that Western road trip and he got his ring, he wasn't playing that game either. He was out. I think it might have been concussion or something like that. So I'm not even sure. I got to check and see if he'll be back in the lineup because I know he was out when they went on that Western Conference road trip.
He's back.
He is back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not particularly well. February 2nd at Colorado. He is a +1. He's playing, I believe, live at Philadelphia right now. Carolina, he was a -2 before that. He hasn't had a point since January 18th, Buffalo, where he had an assist. And then against Florida on the 13th of January, he had a goal and assist. So
don't be surprised if they might try to get him back because, as you was mentioning, with our face-offs has been horrible, and he was a key cog of that. Maybe Andre might be going to Vancouver. Maybe.
Yeah. A lot of people would think that. The problem is the contracts don't add up because we can't flip the $3 million contract for Jay Beagle, which is why we didn't sign him in the first place.
So send Orlov ass too. Send Orlov ass too.
I think giving away a defender and a third line winger for a fourth line winger.
Hey man. The decision's got to be made, man. Decision's got to be made.
I think there's a better move to be made. But don't get me wrong, I love him. I just don't think that the numbers add up for that trade specifically.
Right. I'm just excited for him to come back and the fans to just give him the love because he's certainly missed. But other than that, no, good. Looking forward to seeing the game tomorrow night. I like that they're playing at home. They just need to keep it going, and that's all I care about at this point. Just look like I want to see them play as they did Calgary, and keep Yaskin in. He is one that I am a big supporter of. He's one of my threes, and I think he's going to just kick ass on this team. But they got to put him out there more.
Sounds good. Well, we'll let you go, but definitely everyone check out SportsOTHP.com. Click the Power Play Point podcast button, and you can listen to Gil and Anna. They've got a ton of great episodes, including the previous week's episode where they had a bunch of fans of the Capitals come on, including Chris Levesque and his brother. Also, a bunch of other great guests as well. So, people that have been on our channel before, too, and it's a good listen. So I encourage people to go check them out. And Anna, thank you for coming on, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
All right, sounds good. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you guys next week.
All right, Anna, take it easy. Appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and get ready to end this Facebook Live feed. Robbie's getting ready to start Wizards Talk. I'll be back Facebook Live for the Super Bowl recap in about 30 minutes, about 30, 35 minutes. So I'll let Robbie take it away with Wizards Roundtable, and I'm going to end this feed now. Appreciate everybody for tuning in and chiming in. Catch you next week.